SilkPerformer, load test modeling and test execution. What we'll cover is how to create a baseline in SilkPerformer, how to run the baseline test, view the baseline report and accept it, and where to set thresholds. We'll also look at how to model the load test. We'll look at choosing a load test type and understanding the modeling window. And finally, how to kick off and execute a load test. Let's start with creating a baseline. Back in the SilkPerformer workbench, you've moved through the workflow toolbar from left to right, and now you've come to the point of being ready to find your baseline. Choose Find Your Baseline and you'll see a list of all your test scripts. You'll want to select all the test scripts that you'll be running in your load test and the profile that goes with them. Choose Run. The test now is going to run with one user with all of your actual profile settings. Once it's completed, we're going to get a baseline report with some performance metrics that we'll then choose to accept as our current baseline for this load test. Once the baseline test is completed running, you'll come to the workflow toolbar and choose Confirm Baseline. At this point, you'll be given several options, one of which is to view your baseline report. This will launch the report in the same window, and you'll see details of the baseline test that just executed, so time and date, information about the test you are running. You can scroll down and see more granular details. If you notice at the top of each page, you'll see different links you can use. So summary tables, if you click this, it will take you down to the detailed summary information about the technology you are testing. So in this case, a web application, you can see request data sent and received, connection information, HTTP data. You can also jump to the transactions. So these are transaction details about what was in your script. Page timers is the next section down. Overall response time information, and then the breakdown per page of the application you are testing, as well as web forms. If you scroll back up to the top, you should see a button that says Accept Baseline. If you accept that, this is now the baseline for your project. At this point, you can come back to the Confirm Baseline option, and you'll have a few other options before you move on. One is you can set response time thresholds. So if you'd like to get alerts or information passed to you while the test is running, if different thresholds are exceeded based on this baseline, you can configure those here. At this point, you can also come in and define monitoring options for what type of back-end server monitoring you'd like to be doing while the test is running. And I'll choose yes, that I want to use this as my baseline. At this point, we've created our baseline, looked at where you can set thresholds, and accepted our baseline. We're now ready to move on and actually model our load test. Here we'll choose a different load test type and look at some of the options in the modeling window. Back in the SilkPerformer workbench, you'll come back up to the workflow toolbar and choose Adjust Workload. At this point, you'll get a pop-up that gives you different options for the type of load test model you'd like to build. There are 6 radio buttons: increasing, steady state, dynamic, all day, queuing, and verification. You can see detailed information about these underneath by selecting any of these test types. So for example, increasing means users will start at a low number and gradually ramp up over the time of the test. You can also see a model type in the top left part of the window with an image of what this test looks like. For this, I'm going to choose increasing and say OK. At this point, I'll get a list of the scripts I've included for this load test, which in this example is just one. And I can start filling in pertinent information about how I want to model this execution. So I give it a maximum number of virtual users. In this case, I'll say 40. And the information that you enter will also show up in the diagram above. So as you can see, I'm going to end with 40 users. I'm beginning with 1 user. And I can see all the other information I'm filling in, such as how quickly my users ramp up and at what rate, total simulation time, total measurement time, warm-up, and close-down phase. So now that we've created and accepted our baseline and modeled the load test, we're ready to actually execute. So back in your workbench, while you're still in your workload configuration, once you've got your scripts and your workload model set up the way that you want it, you can come down to the bottom and just choose Run. You can take the default for the logging location, and at this point the load test is going to kick off and launch the Silk Performance Explorer. This is the location where you can actually watch the test in progress and some high-level statistics about what's happening. For example, the active users executing, HTTP pages per second, number of errors, etc. Once the test is completed running, you'll get an overview report, and all the information that was captured at runtime will be